Hello, friends. Welcome back to Movie Community College. Mera naam Tish hai.
Superpot, namaste, Mirnam Professor Hey, Apsi Milker, Hushiwe, Tanyavad for watching. Really appreciate it. We are going to be doing a movie review here on
Yes, Hotel Mumbai.
Hotel Mumbai. Who was in Hotel Mumbai?
Dev Patel played Arjun. Anupam Kher played Oberoi. Armie Hammer played David.
Played Batman. Batman was in it. He was supposed to be the original Batman. People don't know that.
Which would have been cool considering that him and Henry Cavill were in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. together. So that would have been cool if they were Batman and Superman together. I'm not entirely sure who else was in this, but those three I know. In my opinion, Anupam stole the show because he's awesome. So it is my understanding, and our friends can correct us in the comments, but it is my understanding that this movie was not widely released in India.
Which is really a shame because it should have been.
Yes.
And it very much had a Bollywood feel to it,
Yes,
as far
it
as
did.
the new Bollywood, the Uri,
Yes.
the Razi, that kind of stuff.
Right,
It was,
right.
Bada. I think the production was Bada. It was awesome. It was big. It was good.
Nice.
And Anupam was Bada.
My
he was
gosh,
outstanding.
he is
was
so
outstanding.
amazing. He's in New York right now filming episodes for New Amsterdam and periodically posts things on his Twitter. He posted something about the cab that he got into, and it turns out that the driver of the cab in New York is an Indian expat.
Did he recognize
He,
him?
of course, recognized him and
And it wasn't
said
me, because I'm an Indian expat.
he told Anupam that he was not going to charge him because of that. And then he said, I have one condition, the driver did. You must FaceTime because I need to prove to my wife that it was really you in my cab. And he said, okay. And so he
Nice,
did.
nice.
And then he also went out into Central Park and had a bunch of American ladies who are fans of the show. And he was talking to them about the show. So that was all on his Twitter. So very cool.
This movie recounts the true story, very true story of the attack that happened in Mumbai.
The November 26th.
Yes.
And of course, it was not just a one-day event.
No,
this
it went
happened
on
for
for
4
days.
days. So the 26th through the 29th, I
and
believe.
the movie opens up with the neighbors to the west on a little rubber raft.
Right.
Riding into the port, unchecked, unverified.
Yeah.
You don't think we need borders, like they just show up with this plan.
Yeah.
And they have, was it 6 targets maybe?
I don't remember.
There was Hotel Trident, which I know from watching Cricket Fever.
Right, there was the Kabad House,
Yes.
which they didn't actually show that in the
Right,
film.
right. A train station.
Right, a restaurant, and then, of course, the Taj Mahal Hotel. I think there were 6, but again, you can correct us in the comments if we have that wrong. If we do, completely unintentional.
So we saw these attacks unfold as they were just kind of random, spread out, kind of to cause confusion. But
And
this
they-
really focused in on the Hotel Mumbai.
Yes, which of course is the Taj.
Right.
They went through, like I said, they didn't show all of the targets, and the ones that they did show, like the train station and the restaurant, the little cafe, they went through those very quickly.
Yes, but the focus was on
because
the
the
Hotel Mumbai.
focus was on the hotel itself, and because that, of course, is where the attack really drug out for days. So yes, this is a retelling of the true story, and there's no doubt that there would have been some sort of creative license taken with certain things. For instance, there's a couple that escapes the cafe only to die in the hotel. We don't know if that really happened.
Right.
It's possible that it happened, but we don't know that to be sure. We do know that Anupam's character is based on the head chef.
Yes.
He really is
Yes.
based on the head chef.
We also know, too, that the director, this was his first film, which is
Yes, can you
outstanding.
believe it?
Well, let me just say about the
Wow.
film. The film is Vabyata Chata. I mean, it is just beyond the veil. It's unbelievable. And,
Beyond the pale.
And I've heard it both ways.
No, you
and what he did for the dialogue that was going in from the bad guys is they actually took he actually listened to the transcripts or viewed the transcripts of what was being said, and that was how he wrote the dialogue for him. So what they're saying is what they really said.
The dialogue of the bad guys, that was taken from the actual recordings that the Indian officials were able to get. So that was phenomenal.
I had two major emotions going through this film.
Anger?
I had naraz, very much filled with naraz, and bechain, very much the two. The two were kind of at odds with each other. I would get anxious, I would get angry. I would get anxious, I would get angry.
Well, I will tell our friends that often when we go to the movies, we get a bag of popcorn. And I usually bring with me a small candy bar or a granola bar because at some point I'm going to open the candy or the granola bar.
I bring in a whole pizza. I sneak it in.
No, you don't. In this movie, I didn't even realize till the movie was done and we were leaving the theater that I never even opened up my granola bar because I was so fixated from the moment this movie started. I mean, I literally didn't even break from the screen. I was alternating between just incredible rage and incredible sorrow.
How long was the film?
It was just over 2 hours. It wasn't very long.
It wasn't like when you watch films. Sometimes the stories kind of meander.
Right.
It goes.
Oh no, this is like boom.
This was
instantly.
Immediately.
Yeah, you're in it instantly.
I was in 2 hours filled with. Naraz. I was angry for 2 hours. I was angry. I was upset.
Well, you were crying
I was
too.
Crying.
We were both crying.
I mean, it made me so angry.
Yeah.
To see this happen because we all know why.
Yeah.
Right. We all know why.
Right.
And watching this unfold, watching this happening in the hotel.
Before we get to...
Character development was incredible.
Yes, I was going to say, before we get to more of our commentary, let's actually talk about the film.
Sure.
For those of you who have not seen it, I don't think we have to say spoilers because you know the real story.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're Indian, you
know the real story.
You don't know this story. There's nothing wrong.
So yes, it obviously starts out with the neighbors to the west coming in on the boat and carrying out some of the attacks. We quickly shift to the scene at the hotel. The backstory is that Dev Patel's character works at the hotel.
He's a Sikh who works
and
there.
His wife has a job as well. They have a little toddler and a baby on the way.
And a fat little baby. That baby
she
was
so
a
chunker,
chunky.
Man.
Oh,
Woo!
man.
She was cute.
So cute.
So he's getting ready to go to work,
Yes.
and he's got the little toddler with him, and he has to bring her to mom at mom's job because he's afraid that mom's not going to be home in time before he has to leave.
Right.
And we see him kind of rushing to get to mom, and one of his work shoes falls out of his backpack.
Yes.
So he gets to work, and he doesn't have one of his shoes, so he has to improvise.
So he puts
his sandals on top of his black socks.
Right.
But he works in food service at the hotel, and there's an inspection by Chef Oberoi, who is Anupam, and he's inspecting everybody. Hands, I mean, he's like, put your hands out, turn them upside down, turn around. I mean, he's inspecting every aspect of you because, as he says, the guests are God, or the guest is God. And so he wants to make sure that every single thing is just so. It's not just the food, but it's how the tables are laid out, it's how you are dressed, it's how clean you are, it's how you speak. And so he gets to the end of the line, and there's Arjun.
Trying to hide
that he's not wearing the proper shoes.
Yes, trying to hide.
And Oberoi sends him home.
Yes.
And he's like, I can't.
They were going back and forth, and finally...
Right, he tells him to leave, though. He tells him he's got to go.
Several times, no, get out.
And he's like, I can't. My wife is pregnant. She's expecting any day. I need the shift. Please, I need the shift. And he says, okay, fine. Well, it turns out that there is a well-known, very well-connected, high-ranking Russian who's a high roller.
Well, hold on a second before you get there. I want to make a point about this movie is going to follow the bad guys.
Yes.
It's going to follow Anupam and Patel,
right,
and there
and a very few
and a
number
few
of guests.
Of the guests. So let's kind of
the
talk
Russian
about the guests.
is one of those
the Russian
guests.
guest who is FSB,
he's got a party.
No doubt, right? He's having a party.
He's having a
ordering
party.
Hookers. He's having all this stuff.
All kinds of liquor, and so it's a big deal who gets
you're going to get tipped.
Who gets to wait on that party.
Tipped.
So Arjun, Dev Patel, he wants to wait on that. Well, listen, Anupam's already given him a solid by letting him stay.
Yes.
And he's like, no, you can't do it. Anupam tells him, I have a spare set of shoes in my office that you can wear, and they're like at least a size too small that he's got to cram his feet into.
Like, oh.
And so Dev Patel and one of his coworkers are going back and forth, and the coworker gets the assignment, but he can't pronounce the name of the liquor properly.
Yes,
and Anupam is like, he's getting so annoyed.
Like, come on, I can say it.
Right.
I know
Arjun
exactly
can
what it
say
is.
it.
Right.
He can say it. But the coworker gets the gig because he's properly attired.
Right.
So he gets the gig.
But Anupam is like, you should have worn your shoes.
You should have worn your shoes because you could have gotten that gig. So he's one of the main guests.
And just let me point out, in Christianity, we have something, Romans 8:28, right?
Right. Which is my favorite Bible
all
verse.
Things work out for the good, right? All things.
The verse says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So this is an example of that where
if something
Dev
bad
doesn't
happens
think,
and you're like,
Dev doesn't think this is a good thing, but it turns out to be a very good thing for him.
So we see the Russian.
He's one of the main characters. Then we see Armie Hammer and his wife. Who is
Iranian.
Right. In the film, her name is Zara, and he is David, and they have a nanny whose name is Sally. She's a Brit, and he's a Brit. His wife is Iranian.
They got a little boy.
They have a little boy. Now, she's somebody famous. And she comes to this hotel regularly. Yes. So the staff knows her too. And they're trying to have everything laid out in the room just the way they would want it.
Even the temperature of the bath.
The temperature of the bath water with rose petals in it. And they're going to have a special little outfit laid out for the baby. Problem is,
they don't know which
somebody says it's a girl and somebody else says it's a boy. So the man who's in charge of that says, get both.
Get both.
So there's a girl's outfit and a boy's outfit. So they're, the main guest, and the Russian guy is the main guest. There are other people who will come into play, but these are the people who are mainly focused on in the film.
Anupam, Patel, the Russian, the Iranian, and the bad guys.
And the two Brits, Armie Hammer and the nanny. So they're kind of the main people that are focused on in this film. And so they get checked in, and they decide they're going to go to dinner. That is Armie Hammer and his wife. They're going to go to dinner. And so the nanny stays back in the room with the baby. And this Russian is having dinner in the same restaurant. And this is the restaurant where Chef Oberoi, who is Anupam's character, is the head chef. And Dev Patel is the waiter for these people. And so he's recommending certain things. Funny scene when Armie Hammer's character wants to order a cheeseburger. And Dev Patel says,
we don't have that.
No. He said fish or chicken. And Armie Hammer looks at him like, what do you mean? And his wife's like, they don't eat beef here.
Cows are sacred here.
And he's like, oh, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. And so he basically then takes Dev Patel's recommendation about what he should eat.
So you have this unfolding of this action as the bad guys are killing at will in the hotel.
Right. We're getting to know the main characters in this restaurant also.
How do they survive?
Right.
Do they survive? What role does the staff play? This whole cat and mouse, because Dev Patel and Kher know the hotel very well, how to move around.
Right.
Thank you. How to move around the back corridors without being seen, which is a service elevator.
Right.
And
there's a very kind of elite floor and a room on this floor that is kind of not known to everybody, and so it's a well-kept secret, and it's kind of the doors are super heavy-duty doors, very hard to get into this room. And so as the movie progresses and you see more of the attack unfolding and listening to the bad guys kind of working their way, everybody in the lobby is just, you know what's going to happen as soon as they enter the lobby.
It's terrible.
It's so awful.
And I think, because this is a fairly new film, we won't give a bunch away because people should see it.
Yeah.
This is a must-see film,
I think. Oh, there's no question. No question. And because while this is it's done in the style of a modern Bollywood film, but it's not an Indian film.
Right. I think it's Australian.
Because yes, I think it was Australian as well. But because this was in major release in America, if this thing does not win Oscars, I am going to be so angry.
This telling of the story,
wow,
should win Best Picture.
There's
Best
no
Foreign
question,
Picture, Best
no
Actor,
question.
Best Supporting Actor,
yes,
Best Score.
Yes, all of it.
This thing was brilliant all the way through.
Yes.
It told a very hard story that needed to be told, and the thing that shocked me that I did not realize, Mumbai did not have a response team.
Yes.
It was local cops.
Right. The closest response team was in Delhi, and they said 8 hours away. We were flabbergasted. We did not know that. We were flabbergasted.
But the black cats show up.
Well, that's towards the end, so let's wait to that. As we're watching this, and of course knowing what's going to transpire, I'm sitting there looking at the screen, and I'm remembering watching it on the news when it happened. You know, more than 10 years ago now.
But it was so much more personal this time, I think.
Now it is. When it first happened, of course, it was, just over 7 years after 9/11. And I remember watching it and my heart just aching for the people of India, knowing that the people who were being targeted were Americans, Jews, and Brits. Those were the main targets, but they were not the most people who were killed. Most of the people who were killed were Indians.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time my heart just aching for them, because we knew what that felt like from having witnessed it here in New York and Washington and Pennsylvania. And my eyes were transfixed to the TV when it was happening, because I was watching the smoke come out of the Taj and just thinking, my gosh, remembering the horrors of watching that with the World Trade Center.
Right.
And just weeping at the time. Now, it's like you said, it's even more personal to us, because we have so many connections with our friends in India. And so when I was watching this, like I said, I vacillated between rage and weeping, just sheer weeping. So, and knowing that Chef Oberoi would survive, knowing that Arjun's character would survive, not knowing about Armie Hammer, his wife, the baby, their nanny, the Russian, not knowing whether they were going to survive. So the rest of the movie basically is waiting for help. We're waiting for help to come, and you're seeing the bad guys literally go room to room. They're having the hotel staff call the rooms and tell them help is on the way, knowing that the people are going to open the door and be massacred.
And it's, I think this is a movie. First of all, the quality of the movie is very good.
Oh man, you're on the edge of your seat, even when you know what's going to happen.
And I just say to all of my Indian friends, this is a film that I think you can judge nationalism versus anti-national on. Who hates this film? Probably anti-Indian. People who love this film probably pro-Indian, because this film is very, there are no apologies for what happened. There is we're not going to sugarcoat it.
We're just going to tell you
what it is. This is what happened. Here it is, and the rawness of it. And I cried. I was angry. This film is a must see. You have to see this film. You have to see it.
They showed a couple of character interactions between a British woman and the Iranian wife.
The older British woman.
Yes.
Yeah, she was old, right?
And the older British woman with Dev
Sikh,
Patel. Showing kind of the progression of sheer rude type ignorance
the racism to
right, because she hears the Iranian woman speaking on the phone and assumes she's with the bad guys, because she doesn't know the language and therefore just jumps to conclusions, and she's rude to her. But then later on, she's afraid of Dev Patel because she sees his Sikh turban and doesn't understand that's not the same.
And he does a great job explaining it.
Does a great job explaining to her what it is to him and his culture and his faith, and offers to remove it, though this would be a disgrace to him if it would make. And then she gets it and says, no, don't do that.
You watch this movie and you watch Patel, you watch the hotel staff. I think you get a good glimpse of the heart of Indians.
Oh, yeah.
How kind.
Yes.
How courteous.
Yes.
How welcoming
Yeah.
and loving they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you watch this film, how can you, you know, you're going to be filled with rage, anger, anxiety, all these things, but I think you're also going to be filled with a love for India. Like, you can't walk away being like...
You're also going to be filled, if you are somebody who is pro-India and pro-freedom, you are going to be filled with immense pride in how kind, decent people handled themselves.
Yes.
The cops knowing they are so far outnumbered, and they go in there anyway.
Yes.
It reminded you very much of the
9/11?
firefighters at 9/11 that knew this is death for us, but we're going in to see who we can save. So by the end, of course, the black cats get there. The black cats get there, and they're doing what they do. And there's one scene in the film where I laughed.
Yeah.
And it was towards, I mean, there's probably 5 minutes left in this movie, and the black cats are in the lobby.
Yes.
And it's them, and it's the remaining bad guys.
Yes.
And the black cats have some explosives. And they kind of toss it behind the counter where some of the bad guys are sitting, and the bad guys act like they're going to make their final stand, and the one black cat has the control in his hand, and he just clicks it, just very nonchalant, clicks it, and I laughed because it was so awesome the way that he did it. It was just so cool and nonchalant. We left that film, and when we got outside of the theater, and I was sitting down for a moment, I was speechless. And you asked me, what's wrong? And I was crying, and I couldn't get the words out to you to tell you why I was crying. And I finally was able to say, because I said, I'm so angry, but I was crying. And you said, what are you angry about? And I said that everybody's forgotten. The world has seemingly forgotten the scourge that we're up against. Yeah. And it makes me angry.
Yeah. And this was a good reminder.
Yeah.
Of the commonalities.
If
that
you
we
are
face.
able to see this movie,
go see it.
Please go see it. You will not regret it. I hope that more theaters in India will show this. It's such a shame that it's not in wide release there, because this movie is phenomenal and
film.
pro-freedom. So,
thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. Tanyavad, Elvita, and Pierre Malingi. I'll catch you guys later.
Bye, guys.